Hello, hello. Who's all here? Oh, wow, like the party started out without me? Okay. What's up, everybody? Are you guys ready to cook? I'm smoking up the place already. Yeah. Yes, you can do live on YouTube. Okay. Oh, thanks, Sophie. That's weird. You guys want to meet my roommate? This is Andrew. Andrew, this is YouTube.
Hey, guys.
This is Leif. Can you see Leif? Yeah. Okay. Oh, the puppy. Where is he at? There he is. He's chewing on a bone.
It's definitely an antler.
An antler bone. What is on the menu? Today, I'm making this recipe from my cookbook, which is the pork chops with apples, butternut squash, and roasted Brussels sprouts. Can't talk.
So good.
So that is what I'm making today. Does anyone have the book, or am I the only one? 8 p.m. Oh man, it's late already over there. Autumn theme, yes. Perfectly in season for apples. Let's get rolling and get with it. Okay, let's start. Let me get some of the ingredients and kind of show you what I'm starting with. 1 second.
You're starting to look like her.
Here, apple. What's up, AJ? Yay, AJ has the cookbook. Does anyone else have the cookbook? We need to get it. Yes, the cookbook is on Amazon. You can just search like Cody Harmon cookbook and it should come up. It's called Shit You'll Actually Cook. Yeah. You haven't had pork since 1984. Wow.
Wow.
That's a long time.
No pork?
No, you're not. Are you making pork?
Yeah, pork chops.
With applesauce?
Apples.
With sauteed apples. Yeah.
That's the only way.
You eat bacon.
You eat.
Okay, so
Sounds good, even though you don't like vegetables. Well, maybe you will now. Okay.
That smells manufactured.
Tracy, you have the book. Awesome. Yay. I love pork. Awesome. You've already made this salsa chicken recipe. That's cool. How'd you like it?
Put some soap in it, splash it around a little bit.
sorry.
No worries. Veggies are delicious. I agree. So many dogs. All right, so I'm gonna get started. First of all, my ingredients are pork chops, Brussels sprouts. This is all from Trader Joe's. It's pretty easy to find. Granny Smith apple, butternut squash.
Okay.
Spices that I'm using are caraway seed, sage, and ground mustard seeds. So these are going to be the spices that are going to go on the pork chops. I just have my melted potato. Okay, so first things first, what takes the longest with this dish is what I'm going to start with first. That's one tip. When you start out with like meals, you want to start with whatever is going to take the longest so that like the timing of it, you know, it all comes together at once as one meal. So the Brussels sprouts and the butternut squash are what I'm going to start with. The pork chops actually take like maybe 10 minutes. Pretty simple. So how to cut the butternut squash, first of all. I'm going to be microwaving this because we have limited time, so it'll take about 15 minutes to cook completely, maybe more depending on how the microwave wants to work today. Hello from Puerto Rico. That's a long way. Do I have any recipes without vegetables? Maybe just fruits or any type of desserts? Trying to keep it healthy as much as possible. I encourage vegetable consumption as much as possible. All right, so how to cut the butternut squash. First of all, you want a sharp knife. I usually cut off the top first, then the bottom. That creates a flat surface for you to cut lengthwise. So then you just cut straight down. My dog is chasing flies right now. This knife is really small. Okay. Sometimes you need a bigger knife. Alright, so cut in half, just like so. After you do that, you want to scrape these seeds out with a spoon or whatever else. But you don't want to eat them. Just like that. So go ahead and discard the seeds. Let's see. Bye. Can you eat the seeds if you cook them like you do with pumpkin seeds? Possibly. I haven't done that with butternut though, so I don't see why not. I haven't really tasted them though. How do I know if the squash is ripe? It's pretty much always ripe. If they pick it, then it's good to go. All right, so since I'm microwaving this, I'm going to be putting it in these microwave-safe dishes. You can also roast the squash. You can just put it on like a sheet pan in the oven, but it takes like 45 minutes for it to roast completely through. But since this is, you know, limited time, we're going to go with the microwave. So I'm just putting it in like this. Normally, a container with a lid would be nice, but since we don't have one, we're just using 2 containers. Like so. Do I cook for my roommates as well? I haven't yet, but maybe some point. You know, we have like kind of opposite schedules. They go to bed at 6:30, which is like my dinner time. So Maybe on a day off sometime we'll have like a little roommate family meals. I have cooked for them once. Actually, we had a barbecue. Just kidding. Okay, so microwave. Alright, so I just put that in there for 15 minutes. Just gonna let it go. Should be done. You and Brussels sprouts are mortal enemies. That's a bummer. Okay, Brussels sprouts time. All I need is a sheet pan. Oh yeah, make sure to preheat your oven to 375. Should only take about 15 minutes as well for the Brussels sprouts. All right, so first things first with Brussels sprouts, if they do tend to give you gas, the trick is to cut off the stem. The stem is not digestible, so basically you're just gonna poop it out, and it'll give you gas until you do so. So the stems on here are actually pretty trimmed already, but just to show you how to do it, this one's not as trimmed, but you just want to slightly trim off the end, like so. Oh, you cannot see. I just realized that. Sorry. Let's try this again. Okay. So for the Brussels sprouts, see that little like end thing right here? This is going to be what you want to trim off. So you just get your knife, trim off the bottom. See this little stub? This is what's going to cause most of your gastrointestinal issues. So you can get rid of that. You can get rid of a lot of pain and embarrassment. Then just cut this right in half. Oh, I need a bowl. Oh. Sorry if I missed some of your questions. Keep asking them, just so I can like see them at some point. But I'm cooking, so if I miss them, it happens. But I promise I'm gonna try. Ugh. I'm also short. Hold on. Pretend you didn't see this. Okay. Don't do that at home. I got a bowl now. This kitchen is made for tall people. Like, all the storage is way above our heads, and it's just annoying. Anyways. Alright, so now that I've cut the Brussels sprouts in half, I'm just going to put it in this bowl here so that I can season it with salt and pepper and put a little bit of oil. So just going to do this whole bag. Might as well. Short people problems. Yes, most definitely. Some of these are luckily already trimmed, so it should be faster. I am 5'3", so definitely not extraordinarily tall. My brother is 6'5", so unfortunately he stole all of my height. He was the firstborn. I going to marinate the pork chops, or are they going to be plain? They're not going to be marinated, but they're also not going to be plain. They're going to have a seasoning on it. The seasoning is sage, dry mustard, dry ground mustard, and ground caraway seeds, which I have whole seeds, but I'll show you how I grind them, just in case you can't find ground caraway seeds like I couldn't. I'll show you how I do it. Oops. Describe mustard seed to someone who has only had Frenches. Mustard seed is literally mustard seed just ground up. So it looks yellow like this. This is like a powder. It kind of just basically tastes like mustard, only it's just the seed. It's got nothing else in it, no vinegar, no nothing. So yeah, it's a spice. I feel like it's too hot in Sacramento right now for an oven. It's supposed to be fall, and it was like 90 today. So I'm already sweating. Why didn't I peel the squash? Because I didn't have to, because when you microwave it, you can just scoop out the insides. Saves a little bit of time, a little bit of pain in your ass. All right, finally the last 4 Brussels sprouts. What other kind of things could you use ground mustard seeds for? I've never really seen it used before. You could put it in anything, really. It kind of just gives it a little bit more of a tangy flavor. I put it on even in my ground turkey sometimes. Alright, so these are all the Brussels sprouts that I just cut up, like so. So I've got some salt right here, and some ground pepper, or some pepper that's about to be ground. Thanks, Costco. So, first things first, I've got some avocado oil. I'm just gonna kind of put, I just missed a little bit. Just enough to kind of coat the Brussels sprouts in this bowl. Some salt, a few pinches, and then some fresh ground pepper. Then I'm just going to toss it up with my hands until it's all evenly covered with salt and pepper and oil. So once this is all seasoned up, you just put it in your sheet pan, spread it out evenly like this. And then put it in your oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. The puppy is making quite the ruckus over there. just realized there is a pan in the oven. Some people like to use the oven for storage, apparently. Yeah. Okay, so now I've got the squash in the microwave, the Brussels sprouts in the oven. Any questions so far? My thoughts on the keto diet. So I think that the keto diet can be useful for medically necessary situations. Like if you're someone with diabetes, someone who has a medical condition that can benefit from eliminating carbs from their diet temporarily, okay. But long term, I don't think that it's one, necessary, two, sustainable. I'm all about what is sustainable for some people, and the keto diet is not sustainable. If you could think about never eating carbs again, that's not something that I'd be willing to do. I don't find it necessary either. I think that as long as you eat a balanced diet, it's all about energy expenditure, your calories in versus calories out. As long as you balance that out, you're going to be okay. You don't need to eliminate anything. There was once upon a time people were afraid of eating fat. We found out that fat's not the evil thing that it was. So there seem to be diet trends where people are afraid of some sort of macronutrient, whether it's fat or carbs. So it's all kind of trendy. Any sort of diet where people can make money off of it, you need to be careful. There's so much out there on the market right now that's marketed towards keto friendly or keto this, keto that. Just like the low fat phase used to be, it used to, things have low fat on the labels still because people were afraid of fat. So that's just one thing to be aware of, one thing to keep in mind when you are trying any sort of diet. You just want it to be sustainable long term, and you don't want to just feel frustrated the moment that you decide to eat carbs again and then gain like 10 pounds. How do I feel about Weight Watchers? Honestly, I feel like Weight Watchers has a pretty good program just because they do encourage you to. 1 second. Hey. No. Sorry, dogs. So the Weight Watchers plan is pretty cool. They encourage you to eat fruits and vegetables by making them like 0 points now, as well as like protein. And that's basically, I feel like, a low stress way of a healthy diet. They're kind of emphasizing or encouraging people to eat fruits and vegetables, and that's something that I'm all about. And I think that it's most sustainable that way as well. So yeah, good job, Weight Watchers. You missed the beginning. What am I making? I'm making this pork chops with sauteed apples, butternut squash, and roasted Brussels sprouts from my cookbook. Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to move on to the pork chops and the spice mix and show you how I do that. Get rid of this cutting board. Is anyone enjoying any wine today? I have a glass, but I haven't had enough yet. Oh, well, water is fine too. You don't need wine. Okay, so once again, keep asking your questions so I can like see them. I don't want to miss them. Thanks, Patricia. I see you. I'm not sure how these like super chat things work. I see like a $1.99 thing for, I don't know. Yeah, thank you. Pork tenderloin. I do have a recipe for that in my cookbook as well. That's one of my favorites to do. Okay, Sorry, I keep reading all the questions and I'm getting distracted. So, here are my spices for the pork loins. I got them from Sprouts because Trader Joe's is not the most abundant in spice choices. So, caraway seed, mustard seed, sage, obviously salt. I'll show you how I do this. I'm going to get a small bowl of spices. So I've got my little bowl here. These are brand new spices. So I got my mustard seed, sage, I hate these things. Okay. So I'm gonna do about a tablespoon of sage. Well, I have 3 pork chops, so maybe like 2, actually. I'm only eating 1, but if you have 3, you might as well cook them all at the same time and have them for leftovers. So I got a couple tablespoons of sage. Do about a tablespoon of the mustard seed. All these amounts are in my cookbook. I've just gotten like really used to eyeballing everything. So come out. You can definitely go by the amounts that are in the cookbook. Those were measured out correctly the first time I made it. Tell me about salt, especially pertaining to high blood pressure and headaches. Some people are more sensitive to it. Some people do better with sea salt as opposed to like table salt. This is sea salt. There's some people who say that the sea salt does not have an effect on your blood pressure as much as like table salt does. Also, really, if you cook all of your meals at home, the amount of salt that you're putting in your food is going to be way less than any sort of fast food or microwavable meal. People tend to think that like when the added salt that you put into your food is a lot, but in reality, when you get like a fast food meal or a microwave meal, all that sodium is already in there, and there's like multiple, like you've already hit your daily amount of sodium just within one microwave meal. So the more you cook your food, the less you really have to worry. You can make your food taste good. You can add salt and not worry about it. I'm someone who tends to have lower blood pressure, and I use a lot of salt. So it's not always like if you eat a lot of salt with your food, you're going to have high blood pressure. It's kind of like individual depending on what types of salt you use, and processed foods tend to have more sodium than what you're going to cook with. All right, so this is the caraway seed. This is whole. I could not find ground. I don't think you will be able to find it either, so I'm going to show you how I grind this. Hey, there's no lid on it. That makes me happy. Okay, so how I grind caraway seed, it looks like this when it's whole. It looks very similar to whole cumin seed, but it kind of tastes like a little bit more like fennel seed. So what I do is I get my coffee grinder and I grind it with this. Clean it out first, though, because you don't want like coffee in your pork chops. So Himalayan salt, yes, that is a good salt choice. Yes, that's a good idea. If you grind rice, it will clean out everything. I'll probably do that after, so that when I grind my coffee in the morning, it won't taste like caraway seed. Okay, so I'm going to do roughly 2 to 3 tablespoons of caraway seed. Because I'll probably save whatever I have left over for later so I don't have to grind it again. Cool. Smells so good after you grind it fresh. So this is what it looks like ground up. Just gonna dump it in here with the rest of the spices. I'll just use the spoon to kind of mix it up. So, got all these spices all mixed up. I just kind of spilled some, but that's okay. So this is kind of any sort of spice blend that you have left over. Don't worry, you can save it. So it's always better to have more than not enough. Time for the pork chops. Seriously. I'll get a plate so you can see what I'm doing. All right, pork chops. I've got 3 here. Someone's at the door. 1 second. All right, someone literally knocked on my door for no reason. That's great. For the pork chops now, I'm going to season them first with salt. And I season them pretty generously because you have to remember that there is no seasoning in the middle of these. So all of the surface is going to be where your seasoning is at. It looks like a lot, but it's not going to taste like it. Now I'm just going to flip. Oh, wait, sorry. I'm going to put the spice mix up in here. So also generously going to do the spice mix. Looks a little strange at first. Then I'll flip them over. Salt again. Spice mix. You can kind of like flip it a few times just to get the spice on all the sides if you want. Might as well. So there's the pork chops with the spice. I have quite a bit left over. Just going to save it for next time. Okay. Pig tattoo. Yes, I do have a pig tattoo. Okay. So now I need like a better camera for these things. The laptop is not the most beneficial way. Okay. I also need a better stove. Alright. Use my iron skillet for these. I'm going to heat up the pan first. Do I have any tips to make sure my pork chops don't dry out when I'm cooking them? Yes. Don't cook them too long. Pork chops you can cook to like a medium rare, just like you can cook a steak. You don't have to cook them all the way to 165 like chicken. So I recommend very highly a meat thermometer that I can't find. Alright, so this is my meat thermometer. You can test the internal temperature of your meats with a meat thermometer. I suggest a digital one. I couldn't find one, so this is not digital, but it still works. That way, you know what temperature your meat is at. You don't have to guess. You don't overcook it because you're afraid to undercook it, and you won't undercook it and then just get diarrhea. So, yeah. Pork generally isn't served necessarily rare, more of a medium rare. They used to tell you to cook it to 165 like chicken because of like worms and shit, but you don't have to worry about that anymore. So there hasn't been like a case of, I forget the parasite specifically, in a very, very long time. So they have lowered the cooking temperature for pork chops or pork in general. So yeah, yes, trichinosis, thank you. Alright, so this is avocado oil. This is what I use to cook with mostly for high heat things, like searing things like I'm about to do now. So, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. When you start to see like streaks in the pan, that's when you know it's hot enough. You can put your pork chops in, and you're going to hear that nice sizzle sound that you want to hear. Oh, you're studying parasites right now. Awesome. Alright, so my pan is ready. I'm going to stick in pork chop number 1. Number 2. And number 3. If your pork chops are thicker, on the thicker side, you can sear them on each side and then finish them in the oven. These, I think, these should be fine to just do on the stovetop. But if they're thick like steaks, then you want to probably use your oven to make sure they're cooked through. So yeah, those are cooking. I'm going to slice up the apple. I need to find some cinnamon. Hopefully I have some. I do. Sweet. So, cinnamon for the apple when I saute that. What is the health benefits of Brussels sprouts? Any other ways to cook them with the least calories possible, only roasting? You can steam them. Health benefits. They are a cruciferous vegetable, so they are in the same family as broccoli, cabbage, those sorts of things. So they have all sorts of awesome antioxidants in there. So, yeah, eat your veggies, folks. Okay. Yeah, Brussels sprouts are like mini cabbages, so any way you can cook a cabbage, you can cook a Brussels sprout. I guess, you know, bite size. Here's my apple. Love that you cook with cast iron. I have pans that my mom used for 60 years. I use them all the time while cooking. Yes, I love cast iron pans. They really they make your food taste so much better. You're not putting chemicals into your food. It's great. So I'm just gonna slice up this apple. I'm gonna remove the core basically by just slicing around it. I'm gonna leave the skin on. You can peel these first if you want, but I don't find the need to. Skin is just more fiber, more nutrients, so I leave it on. Good. Alright. So there's my apple. That's all ready to go as soon as the pork is done. What cologne do I use? I don't use cologne. Oh, hey, from Mexico. What is up? How many recipes are in my cookbook? That's a good question. Enough to not be overwhelming, but kind of more so used as like a base instead of just like, hey, here's a million recipes thrown at you. Just for an example, it is, I'll tell you how many pages it is. It's approximately, it's about 70 pages, 69 actually, if you want to count the ending. So it's not super thick, but I didn't want to make it super thick because I didn't want to overwhelm people. It's more of like a, hey, once you learn how to cook these basic meals, you can kind of swap in and out some ingredients, try things out, get creative, that sort of thing. Cody, may I have permission to fart? Of course, always. Don't hold that shit in. Okay. I don't have tongs, apparently, so I'm gonna check on these pork chops here. Time to flip. And nice and crispy on the top. It looks burnt in the camera, but it's not, I promise. They are a good seared level. Let's check on my Brussels sprouts. Hot oven. Getting there. I like my Brussels sprouts a little bit crispy. And you get like, they're like little Brussels sprout chips. Awesome. I think my butternut squash is done though, so I will get that. Alright. So here's the squash. Nice and steamy. One way to test if it is done, just get a fork. If it goes in easily, then it's good to go. I'll probably just start scooping it out as soon as it's cool enough. So I'm gonna take it out of this container so it can cool down a little bit. So basically just waiting on the Brussels sprouts and the pork chops. So let's see if I can get any questions. That's true. Leftover squash cube is good in salad. It's good in a lot of things. I used to work at a restaurant. Worst sports injury? Burns. You get burned a lot. Fingers, your wrists, like kind of like reaching in and out of the oven, that sort of thing. I never cut myself at work. I cut myself like pre-culinary school, but I haven't cut myself since. Knock on wood. By the way, your arm is looking great. Thanks, Sarah. I do plan to get it tattooed because I'm tired of people asking me what happened to my arm. I just had a cashier at Sprouts the other day asking what happened to my arm. And I was just like, oh, there was a burn. And she was kind of like, oh, I was wondering if something bit you. And so I'm just like, nah, but I'll try that for my next story. That's a good way to say it. All right, so I'm going to test the temperature to my pork chops, see where I'm at. Yes, I do have a pig diagram on my arm. I love the title of my cookbook. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me about the Brussels sprouts. Yes, I checked them. They have a little bit to go. I'm making an exotic story. I think the most exotic story I've ever made up was like online. Someone asked me what happened to my arm, and I said, I fell off the ride at Disneyland, the Pirates of the Caribbean. And that's what happened. Okay, so my pork is at 140 degrees right now, which there's something that I want to tell you about that is very important, and that is carryover cooking. So anything that you're cooking in the oven, in a pan, you want to pull it off 5 degrees before it's done and let it rest, because it's going to keep cooking. Even after you pull it off the pan, it'll probably raise up another 5 degrees, sometimes more. So, taking these pork chops off the pan. It smells really good. I wish you guys could smell it. I'm just going to clean out the pan really fast, and I'm going to saute my apples. What time is it there? Currently, it is 6:50 p.m. If I told the truth about my arm, they probably would not believe me. That is very true. Okay, so if you've never cooked with a cast iron pan, one thing that you want to know is that you're not to use soap on it. All I do usually is put it under the hot water, or under the water while the pan is hot, and it kind of deglazes the pan, and then I just wipe it out with a paper towel. If you use soap on it, it'll take out all the flavor of the pan. It'll also tend to rust afterwards. Alright, so if you can tolerate lactose, you can use butter right now. If you're like me, not so much, so I'm just going to use some more avocado oil. I'm going to throw in my apples here. I'm just going to saute these until they're nice and soft. Do I have a sensation in my scar? Nope, it's numb. How many people am I serving? Just me. Just me and then some leftovers for tomorrow, pretty much. Why do I prefer avocado oil over olive oil? Okay, so avocado oil is better for high heat cooking. The smoke point is 500 degrees, so it will not burn when you're using high heat sources like I tend to cook with a lot, especially an iron skillet. The olive oil is great for lower heat cooking or for salads because the oil is a lot more sensitive, I guess you could say, and it burns. The smoke point is like 350 to 400 degrees, depending on the type of olive oil you're using, if it's extra virgin or if it's just olive oil. And when it smokes, when it burns, it actually gets rancid, and that's not good for you, and it can actually cause inflammation in your body. I'm just going to add some cinnamon to my apples now. A little bit. A little bit of salt. Not too much. It smells like fall in here now with the cinnamon. All right. The silicone sleeves for your handles are the best. Haven't burned myself. I know, right? Actually, one of my clients got me this. They didn't work so well with a gas stove because the gas stove would burn the handle and it would smell like rubber. But with electric stoves, they're great. I'm going to scoop out the insides now. Alright, so I'm just going to put this in a container, a meal prep container, so I can seal it up later. And I'll keep tossing up these apples at the same time so I don't burn them. Okay, so I'm just going to get a spoon. I'm going to kind of like scrape out the contents of the squash. It's a little hot still, so I can't really hold it. But it comes out pretty easily after it's cooked. It'd be a lot easier if it's not as hot and I can hold it in my hand. Whoops. I actually prefer something like kabocha squash. It's hard. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, honestly. It's a Japanese squash, but it's creamier. It's kind of got like a natural. It's a little bit like saltier naturally, not like salty, but it's got just a more balanced, sweet, creamy flavor. But butternut squash is probably the most commonly used here and the most commonly or easily found. You can find kabocha squash at like Whole Foods or Sprouts, one of the more like natural food stores, sometimes Safeway, but it can be a little bit harder to find. So I only use kabocha squash in one recipe, but it is interchangeable with butternut. This is getting a little more difficult. Okay. All right, so here's like the meat of the squash. You can just go ahead and toss the skin. Almost burning my apples. the next piece of squash. This is a healthy carb source. It's not as high in carbs as, say, like sweet potato. So if you're looking to like bulk up, this probably wouldn't be your best source of carbohydrate. But if you're looking to lean down, it's a great substitute for potato, sweet potato, rice, that sort of thing. Just if it's a good creamy substitute for any sort of more starchy vegetable. It's very low in calories. It's hard to overeat. Okay. Do they have squash in the London area? I wouldn't know. I have never been to London. I've been to Germany. They had it there. Alright, so here's the other skin. I'm just going to throw this out. Voila. Then we have the insides of the squash. Okay, so food is pretty much done here. Oh, I forgot the Brussels sprouts. They might be black now. Okay. Oh no, they're good. So I like my Brussels sprouts to be crispy, and this is like perfect for me. You might like them a little less crispy. It's kind of personal choice, but these little like parts of the Brussels sprout, they're so good. It's like Brussels sprout chips. Alright. Everything is done, so it's time to plate it up. I can't forget to season up the squash, so in the recipe I use 200 grams of butternut squash, so I'm just going to season up 200 grams of butternut squash. And that's 200 grams. I'm going to do some salt, pepper. You can put some coconut oil in here or butter if you have the fat grams to spare. I no longer do since I use oil and all that stuff for pork chops. So it's just going to be a squash for me. Just going to take my fork. I'm going to mash that up so it gets dispersed throughout the squash. And one of the biggest things that you can do to make sure that your food tastes good is to taste as you go. Hey, dogs, stop. The dogs like to play fight and it gets loud. Okay, so tastes good. Doesn't need any more salt. It's ready to go. So, squash. At this point, you'd be ruining the squash by adding cream, brown sugar. You know, that's not ruining it. That's just like the most delicious way to eat it. Any restaurant would be adding cream, sugar, you name it, butter for sure. This is just more of a macro-friendly version. This is by no means like the most delicious version. I don't know why I put the scale down again. That's weird. Okay. So, butternut squash. Do I like scary clowns? I definitely do not. I've watched it as a child, and it just tormented me forever. All right, Brussels sprouts are going in. Then, got the pork chop. And the sauteed apples to finish. And that's it. Pretty simple. All done. See if you can see it properly. It looks like shit in this light. I apologize. But that is the finished product. It's really supposed to look prettier in natural lighting. But this is what I just made, if you're wondering. Pork chop, butternut squash, Brussels sprouts, sauteed apples. I garnish with thyme. You don't need it, but if you want to make it look pretty, it looks prettier with thyme on top. All right, questions. Any last questions? I can finally take a chance to read. Okay. You are welcome, Cinderlock. Okay. You're welcome, Charger Mom. Joey, hey, I'm glad you made it. I'm sorry that, oh wait, okay. So you haven't lost your appetite on chemo so far. That's good, that's good. Definitely a good sign. If a person buys a new iron skillet, it needs to be seasoned to prevent rust. This is true unless it's pre-seasoned. A lot of them do come pre-seasoned now, but I would recommend washing them out first because it has a little bit of a weird taste to it, and then doing another coat of seasoning just to kind of like ensure the non-stick part. That's the way I would suggest. How do you season an iron skillet properly? Well, the way I do it is, sorry, my dogs. Hey, stop. Okay, so I'll take like a good brush. Like they have kits for iron skillets now. You can get them at Target. You can get them on Amazon. They're sold by Lodge. You can get them a good scrub, not with soap or anything, just water. Then you get a good coat of oil, spread that around, and I bake it in the oven at like 400 degrees for like an hour. And I do that as many times as I need to until it's like perfectly seasoned, non-stick, sealed, that kind of thing. Thanks, Ian. My food is getting cold. This is true. My dogs. Well, 2 of them are not mine. I've only got one. She's sitting over here quietly. She's normally kind of an asshole, though, so. Hi, Carly. I should do these live cooking shows like once a week and let us know when you're going to cook so we can cook with you. I would actually really like to do that. I was doing these as like a benefit to clients or whatever, but I might just open them up to be free just because I enjoy doing it, so I might as well. I might just be doing these either once a week, maybe once every twice a week. Oh my gosh. You guys. This is the noisy one. just the puppy. He's getting big though. Getting big. He's as big as Carly now. He's got these long legs though. Be quiet. Be quiet. Okay. Go spank my dogs. No. Wow, the little alien heads actually looks good. They are good. Yeah, they're little cabbages. Can I give you a shout out? Your girl, VV. Yes. Are the pork chops done? Yes, they are. One is sitting on this plate right here, covered in apples. The other two are over here. These will be lunch and dinner tomorrow. That's one suggestion. If you can cook more than one meal at a time, then you can save the other one for the next day and just be ready to go. And apples are delicious. Can I give you the food through the screen? If I could, I would. My roommates actually went to a concert, so they're not even here. Did it matter what cut of pork chops you use? Not necessarily. Usually they are cut from the loin. There's either bone in or boneless. Either one works fine. Boneless, you tend to get more for your money because they do weigh the bone into the final price, but sometimes it can be tastier or like juicier if you leave the bone in. It's all preference. About how long did it take to cook the meal? I've been so bad for cheat meals. It took about an hour, and that was while I was taking breaks to kind of read some questions and stuff. So not super long. I could probably make this on my own in like 30 minutes because the squash and the Brussels sprouts take about 15 minutes to cook, maybe 10 minutes to cut up, that sort of thing. So it's pretty simple. When will I do another one of these cooking classes? I generally have been doing them every 2 weeks. So the next one will be 2 weeks from now. I don't know what date that is. I can look it up on my phone now. Let's see. It is hot in here. I hope in 2 weeks it is cooler. Wow, I'm not. Okay. So today is the 22nd. So the next one should be October 6th. Yeah. October 6th, mark that on the calendar. Yes, they have been all meals for my book. This is another meal that was in my book. That's what I've been doing so far, but I mean, I could venture out of the book. I just haven't yet. I'm sweating a lot. Yes, I am. This is true. I'm like, I won't sweat into the food, though, I promise. Hey, okay. Sorry if I pronounce your guys' names wrong. Dr. K. Anthony? What's up? Matt I don't know how to say your guys' last name. I'm butchered him. What's up? What's up, Matt? I'm going to feel annoying for repeating. Don't feel annoying. If I miss your question, go ahead and repeat it, just in case I didn't see it. My favorite dish to make from my cookbook. Honestly, maybe this one. I also really like any of the salmon dishes tend to be my favorite as well. You can buy my book off of Amazon. If you just search Cody Harmon Cookbook, it should come up. But my name is spelled Harman. If you spell it O-N, I'm pretty sure like some sort of erotica pops up. I definitely did not write that. What do I do for work? I am a personal trainer and, well, chef. I went to culinary school, and then I also went to school for personal training. So I'm a certified personal trainer, and I worked in food for years before I was a certified personal trainer. So now I'm doing both. I should make salmon next time. I can do that. I made salmon last time. No one came. All right. Do I use butternut squash for anything else? Yeah, I do peel it and cube it and roast it that way. So it's like cubed and roast. You can make it into dessert too, honestly. Like you can replace it for pumpkin. You can make it sweet or savory. You can do a puree, and you can add amazing amounts of cream and butter and make it taste amazing. But if you want to keep it healthy, that's not recommended. What do I think of Gordon Ramsay in Kitchen Nightmares? I think it's dramatic. I think people like to watch drama, so I don't think it's necessarily realistic. There are chefs that are complete assholes like that, which is why I don't have the desire to work in the restaurant industry anymore unless I'm working for myself, because chefs, they're just assholes because everyone starts from the bottom. You're all you're shit on. It's kind of like a military type of brigade where you work your way up and you're shit on for years until you finally make chef, and then by that time you just want to shit on everyone else. And that's just not what food is to me. I don't want it to be about ego. I don't want it to be about like shitting on people and being an asshole. I would rather cook for people who appreciate it. Okay. What's my favorite cheat meal? Sushi. Sushi is my go-to cheat meal. Thanks for shouting out my cookbook. Oh, thanks, man. Any beef recipes? Yes. I haven't made the beef yet, just because it takes some time to marinate. The one that I have in here. I also have a lamb recipe, but I do have a flank steak recipe that's in here. It takes some marinating time, but it's easy, I promise. And I've got lamb chops there. So yeah. Yes, Thai sushi. 9 calories per gram of fat. That is true. Let's see. Did I go into the army? No, I was actually married to someone who was in the army. What was the fat? My dogs are so loud. What was the fat content in the pork chops? Let's see if I can find the package. All right, so for pork chops, total fat per serving is 10 grams. So it's not horrible. Pork can be pretty lean or it can be pretty fatty depending on what cut of pork you get. The loin is the leanest you can find. The shoulder is fattier. The belly is bacon. This is the belly. This is where bacon comes from, and that is the fattiest part of the pig. I should make some sushi. Maybe someday. I have, in culinary school, we had, the way we learned is we would go throughout different regions of the world. So we started with like our first fundamentals class where you learn all the basics of cooking, which are basically, they all come from France. It's all French cooking. It's where all of the techniques come from. And then after that, we moved from different regions. So we did like Asia, we did American regional, we did European, all like South America, all that stuff. So it was really fun to not only learn about different types of foods, but also different cultures. And I think that's one of the things that like draws me to food, especially, is also how much culture is in food, and it's actually really meaningful to a lot of people. So I just find that it's almost like anthropology through food. Um, I'm distracted by the arms. Sorry. Uh, yes, I do have a diagram thing on my arm. I went to the Art Institute of Sacramento. That is where I went to culinary school. It was a 2-year program, so I have an AA in culinary arts. That was probably one of the most exciting 2 years of my life. Would I rather be a chef or a personal trainer? That's a hard decision. I love both of them. I'm doing both now, basically. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. There might be times where I do one or the other, do both at once. I really, really like what I'm doing right now. So if I could keep doing this, that would be amazing. So I always weigh my food. Pretty much. Not, it depends what I'm trying to do with my physique or where I'm at in training. Right now, I'm currently bulking. So all I honestly really care about is that I get enough food. It's actually common for people not to be eating enough. And so I can underestimate my calories. So I want to make sure that I'm getting enough protein, getting enough carbs, all that stuff. When I'm cutting, I want to make sure I'm not eating too much. But also, if I'm bulking, I'm a little bit more lenient on like going out to eat or something like that. Thanks. I don't know how to say it. Lots. You guys all have usernames that are like, I just can't pronounce. But thank you for the compliments on the cookbook. Would I start my own restaurant? I think if I had enough money and I had a good concept and I had good people to work with, then sure. But it's not something that I want to do necessarily because of the stress of the job. It's very stressful. It's really long hours, and there's a really high failure rate for restaurants. I think it's like insane. It's like what, like 90% of restaurants fail or something like that. It's more likely, yes, that I would open a gym. I actually have been thinking about opening a wellness studio, wellness center, which also has like a cafe as well as a gym, just to kind of get everything in there. That is like a big, bodacious dream that I just think about daily. Will it happen? I don't know. Did I eat foods that boosted your testosterone? Did you eat foods that boosted your testosterone during transition? No. I just ate basically how I'm eating now. Healthy soups because it's getting colder. Oh yeah, that's another way to use butternut squash. Actually, butternut squash soup, it can be both unhealthy and healthy, depending on how you make it. Lots of cream, lots of sugar, butter, all those things are one way to make butternut squash soup, but you can also make it healthier for the fall season. I mean, chicken soup is always great. Really, a tortilla soup, maybe I'll make that next time because that is one of my favorites and it is pretty healthy. And I have a recipe that I was going to put in this book for tortilla soup, but I didn't make it in. What do I think about intermittent fasting? I think it can be a tool It can be a good tool for people to use for people that like enjoy eating large meals at a time. Uh, well, it's not like calorie restriction per se. I think a lot of people think that intermittent fasting is basically starving yourself, but it's basically saving up your calories for either later in the day. That's how most people do it. They like wake up and they don't eat until maybe like 3 p.m. or later, and they just eat all of their calories towards the evening. If that works for you, then use it. That's great. Personally, I am hungry the minute I wake up, so I tend to eat 3 square meals, maybe a snack if I'm feeling hungry. But that's just the way that works for me currently. I just get hungry. I can't work out fasted either. I just think about food the whole time and I feel weaker. So I just do better when I have some food in my system. Are you cook or athlete? Both. Oh crap! You slept through it all. Well, yeah, pretty much. But if you have any questions, now's the time. Did you get on the magazine? No. I don't know what magazine. You're a truck driver and you need help with workouts and food ideas. That could be a little bit more difficult. Depends if you have access to a kitchen, if you can meal prep and like bring meals with you on the road. That would be my biggest suggestion. But otherwise, if you only have the option of eating out, I would pick foods that have a lot of volume to them, that don't have a lot of added sugars, fats that I know it's hard to find when you're traveling. But usually, even fast food restaurants nowadays have menus. They give you the calories and everything that's in them, as well as a lot of salads. Like even McDonald's now has salads that will not break your diet. Oh, Men's Health. Did I get on the? No. I think that was Aiden. Aiden was on in Men's Health magazine. That was not. That was definitely not me. Thanks for coming, Brendan. Have a good night. As discussed on Ellen. Yeah, that was Aiden Dowling. Not me. Is there healthy snacks in your cookbook? There is a couple. I have a protein shake. I've got some protein bars. If I can find them. I don't even know my own book. Hold up. We get there. Yes, snacks. Anytime. Protein bars. Some fudge stuff. And a protein shake. Have I been in any documentaries? I've been in this one called Man Made very briefly. It is a good documentary, though. I very highly suggest that you see it if you get a chance. It's very well done. It's made by trans creators. So, yeah. How do I make the baby spinach in my fridge more appealing? It's kind of slimy when cooked. That's true. What you can do is you can defrost it, put it in a towel, and then squeeze it out before you cook it. That's how I always do it if I get frozen spinach. Getting rid of the moisture before you cook it is going to make it a lot less slimy. Thanks, Jenna. Yes, Ralph the cookbook. If you guys want a cookbook, I do have one. And yeah. That's really cool that you get to meld the things that you like to do together. Yes, I couldn't think of a better thing to do with my life at the moment. The only thing that makes me nervous is that I won't be able to do this forever. Please eat. Okay, I will. All right, so one last minute, then I'm going to eat my food because it's already cold. So 60 seconds for any last questions, and then I'm going to sign off for the night, and I will see you again, hopefully, October 6th. I will, of course, keep reminding everyone of the next cooking class. You can leave suggestions about what you'd like me to cook. It doesn't have to be from the cookbook, or if you want specifically something from the cookbook, you can also tell me that too. Top surgery scar advice. Time, honestly. You can apply like some oils, some vitamin E and stuff like that, but really time is what's going to fade your scars the most. Yay, we'll see you October 6th. Do I have any other pork chop recipes? I do, not in the book, but I do have a pork loin recipe in the book. Thanks for answering questions. No problem. Do you have any other stuffing recipes? Like Thanksgiving stuffing recipes? Definitely. Thanksgiving is coming up. I should start doing some like Thanksgiving classes. What about new skin in the bottle? For scars? I haven't tried that. Favorite veggies? Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, kale. I like them all. Will it be the same time, the 6th? Yes. So it'll be at 6 p.m. I'm sorry for those who are on like the East Coast or a different country altogether. It is a little bit later. This is just the reason I picked 6 o'clock is because my roommates are usually done with their dinner and everything by like 5:30 or so. So I just try not to get in their way with the cooking class. They're at a concert currently, but usually they're sleeping. Yes. Oh, you missed it. Okay. October 6th, everyone who missed this video live, I'm shooting for October 6th, 6 p.m. I'll be cooking something. Any suggestions are very welcome. But yeah, I'm going to peace out for now and eat my food. And thank you, everyone who joined. I super appreciate it. Thank you to all who asked questions. I'm sorry if I skipped over your question. Come back next time, and I will make sure to answer that. It's hard for me to like cook and read at the same time, but I tried. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. I will see you next time. Peace out.